Hello, everyone. This is Reverend Anthony with the Children's Bread Ministry. Today's message, I had already had a message planned for today, but the Lord brought this to my attention last night, and I'm very glad that He did. I didn't realize this entire thing had still been with me for all these years. And I say with me because when you remember something, it's with you. It's in your mind. It travels with you. It follows you. So I'm going to share something with you today. And I'm very proud of it. It makes me feel lighter. But most of all, it makes me feel free. So last night, typical Saturday, if you will, I usually just stay at home. But last night I had an urge. I had an urge to just get out. It has been a long time since I decided to get in the car and take a drive. The kids and I, we actually left quite early. We didn't get back until very late. Something we hadn't done in a long time. I can honestly say that this particular outing had to happen, and I am glad that it did. So this is a shout out to Starfighters Arcade, located in Mesa, Arizona. Oh, I will tell you this. It had been a long time since I've played an old arcade game. I mean, retro 80s, Frogger, Pac-Man, Pinball, Joust. If any of you can remember those games. Been a long time. Haven't seen an old arcade cabinet in years. But during our drive, we stumbled upon this warehouse out in the middle of nowhere. And it was an old retro arcade. You don't see those around much often anymore. Actually, you don't really see them around at all. So we decided to go in there. And it brought back an old childhood feeling. Like I said, it has been a long time since I've played an old retro arcade cabinet game. The sound of an arcade, I forgot how loud it is. I forgot that socialization. Everything today is done via Zoom, via Skype. I noticed kids today, they talk to people around the world while playing a video game. But a lot of times they don't visually get to see them. They don't really get to interact closely as we once did in an arcade. Shoulder to shoulder, side by side, either playing against one another or together. Can't tell you how much money I used to just waste on those things, quarters and coins and just lots of money. I remember my mom digging through her purse at the bottom trying to find a quarter. But this place brought back old memories. But it also did something else. It tested my faith. And the reason I say that is because many things that happened in that particular arcade evolved around certain scriptures of the Bible. And I'm going to explain how that worked and why I was so grateful that I had stumbled upon that place. So, we decided to stay and play video games. I will admit that I actually quite enjoyed it. But there was something else that I enjoyed more. It's what happened during the time that I was there. Now, just to kind of give you a little background of things, I really didn't have a lot of friends growing up. I had some. But the time, to hang out and play around and do things together, it was limited. My parents were very strict, which today I'm grateful for. But a lot of times I never really related to what my friends like to do. At the time of our youth, some of them grew up in broken families, broken homes, a little rough. So I enjoyed simple things, while most of them enjoyed things that caused problems. So I really couldn't relate to them in that aspect. So therefore, like I said, our time was limited. It's really hard when you're having a good time doing something extremely wrong and you're worried about what would my parents do if they ever knew I was doing this. So a lot of times I was usually the one that had to leave early. Some excuse just had to pop up. Oh, I gotta be home for dinner, or I know my dad had me set for chores today. Something just to get me away from what was going on. So I wasn't really used to having a partner, per se, to play video games or to, shoot hoops together. Because again, that was limited. But last night, while playing a video game called Smash TV, I don't know if any of you can remember that game. It was kind of a depiction of the 1980s Arnold Schwarzenegger movie, The Running Man. You got this sadistic game show that people are getting cut to pieces and things like that, and you're this contestant. So this is a video game that in my childhood, I cannot tell you how much money I wasted on. Well, not my money, but my parents' money. Wasted a lot of money trying to beat this game. I mean, I think last night being able to beat this game would have probably costed $50. But it was worth every quarter. So, my children have a different type of interest in video game, which makes a lot of sense to me. The era of technology for them is a lot more sophisticated than it was for me growing up. I still enjoy an old-fashioned Mario Brothers. So I was playing this game by myself. And I see this man looking, and he's watching. Back in the day, he'd put a quarter on the console to let us all know that it's his turn next. But he actually just stood and watched. Obviously, he could relate to the game's toughness. He was involved in it, visually. He was watching every move. Now, keep in mind, this game is hard. This game is hard. It's really hard to beat with just one person. So I felt the inner child come out of me and say, hey, do you want to get in on this and help me out? The look on his face was eager. Yeah, yeah. Now, this was a little uncomfortable because, I'm a pretty broad-shouldered man, and this gentleman was a broad-shouldered man as well. So, I guess all social distancing aside, we had no choice. Shoulder to shoulder in battle. And we did well, What no one really could understand is that when you're playing video games like this, there tends to be a fellowship, a camaraderie. You almost are able to care for the other person who's playing with you. Like in this case, the gladiators are coming after us, and we're shooting at them with these laser guns, and we're actually protecting one another. We weren't selfish. Every special gun that we could find, we'd share among each other. Here, you get it this time, I'll get it that time. There was cooperation. Something that's, hard to come by these days. Cooperation. But there was something else that we stumbled upon. We played this game for at least, I think, 2 hours. I know my son said, Dad, you guys were playing that game for a while. And yes, we did complete the game. We did beat it. I'm very proud of myself for that because, I had never seen the ending to that game. All these years I wondered what it was. And, I must say that the 80s were a tough time. You just never you could just never do anything right. It started from parents saying, yeah, but you could have done better. I get it now that it's changed. But even the video game reminded us of our era. After we beat it and we saw the ending credits, it says, well, hey, you're not a grand champion, so try to beat the game again, this time on a harder level, and so forth, and the difficulty will be harder, and you will be deemed grand champion. Yeah, I was not about to stand there another 2 to 3 hours. No, absolutely not. But it was a good time. The game was fun. It was interesting. But what happened after did. So after him and I saw the credits, we turned and faced each other, and, we shook hands and we said, hey, we beat the game. And he says, yes, I never been able to beat the game. I said, me neither. Usually, let's ante up how much money you think this would have costed us, right? And he says, I know. He goes, I know. I can't believe it. Thank goodness the games are free and you can put as many credits as you want. I said, yeah. I go, I don't think we beat the game based off of skill. I think we just beat the game based off how many attempts we were allowed to have. And he says, yeah. So as you can see, we're having a nice conversation here. But and then when I looked into his eyes, something came over me. A familiar feeling, as if I had seen this man before. You ever come across somebody that you had maybe knew in elementary school or junior high or some sort, and you see each other years later, and you may look different, but that feeling is still there, that recognition. And you say, hey, do I know you? Come to find out it's somebody that you did know. Well, in this case, it was. It was somebody that I knew. And we were not friends. Not at all. I had took a long look and I said, hey, you know what? Did you grow up around here? And he says, yeah, I did. I'm from Arizona. I said, me too. And he says, yeah, you're Arizonian, huh? We're hard to come by these days. I said, yeah, we are. I go, we are. And Did you go to school here in Mesa? He says, no, I didn't. Okay. You know. Well, I introduced myself. He introduced himself. Now, for the sake of privacy, we're going to go ahead and just call him James. And so, James took a long look at me as well. And he said, "Where did you go to school from?" Well, when that question got answered, it took us both back to a time of battle, time of war, as we would call it. The old clashing of bone and sinew. Yes, we were enemies. To this day, I had totally forgotten about this man. So, when we disclosed what school we had both went to, we realized who we both once were. At that time, we would have never been caught side by side, laughing, enjoying together. Never. A feeling came over me. A feeling of, wow, how could this be? How could this be? Proverbs chapter 10 verse 12 came into my mind. Hatred stirreth up strifes, but love covereth all sins. The love for a video game brought two enemies side by side to combat a greater enemy. Now, the video game is a symbol. The opponents on the games were the enemy. Two people that were once considered enemies fought side by side and overcame this greater enemy. The look on James's face when we both recognized one another, was kind of hilarious in a sense. But at the same time, it was one of those, oh no, I suppose we're supposed to fight right now. Now, a little background. James and myself, we had a week-long war. And I mean a war. Campaigns. I can't really recollect what started it, but I can definitely, recollect how it was. From punches thrown on a Monday to the typical breakup of the two and going home and planning your next attack. There's always tomorrow. Always tomorrow. And come Tuesday, recess time, let the attack commence. It went on for a week. Every single day and every every single recess. Punches were thrown with no words. No reason. You know, if you compare the times of then to the times of now, I think we should have been in jail. I'm surprised we weren't. You know, teachers then used to just break it up and say, knock it off and shake hands. Yeah, we shook hands. Every time we did shake hands in front of a teacher, we were both great thespians. We would sit there and shake hands and convince everybody around that everything was okay and that it was over. But yet it was far from over. This particular person was a worthy opponent. Did not go down easy, and neither did I. You know, it was a win on a Monday, lose on a Tuesday, win on a Wednesday, and so forth. I didn't laugh about it back then, but I laugh about it today. So we both reminisced about what had occurred. And we both laughed at it. You know, we look at it today and wonder, we really did that, huh? My hands hurt just by playing this video game for so long. I don't think any one of us were in shape to fight now. Well, I will say this, that the scriptures made themselves known at that very moment. Had we ever taken the time to truly forgive one another? Now, I, as a minister, have forgiven those who have done wrong to me. But I honestly, until yesterday, had not